Hello, friends. Today I'd like to just start with a little happy birthday song. So here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rugby. Happy birthday to you. Okay, so why did I do that? It's because, as I understand it, and hopefully I got the dates right, today is exactly the 200th anniversary of the birth of Rugby Union. At least it's the day supposedly when William Webb Ellis, playing a game of football at Rugby School in Warwickshire, England, with a fine disregard for the rules, picked up a football and ran with it. The point was running with it. I think it was all right to pick it up and not run with it. Anyway, that is always, or has been said to be, the start of rugby. It may just be a legend. There have been plenty of questions about whether it really happened or whatever. At any rate, even if it's just a legend, I'm going to take it as today is the 200th anniversary of the start of the great game, the birth of the great game. And so that's fantastic. And there's a lot of tradition, a lot of history in the game of rugby. And people are very proud of their teams, the traditions of their teams, nowhere more so than Japan, where you have fantastic university traditions. Waseda, Doshisha, Keio. Teikyo is a newer school in terms of rugby, but obviously very strong, has been very strong recently. And so you've got all that tradition. And rugby people tend to be very interested in the history of their sport, which is as it should be, I think. But looking at the game as it is now, you have to sort of ask one or two questions about where it's going. I mean, it's one thing to have a great past. What about the future? And thinking a bit more about the high tackle controversy that has engulfed the game recently, I can't help feeling that one rather important intervention which could be made from the very top of the game, which is, in other words, Sir Bill Beaumont, the chairman of World Rugby, surely he could say something about high tackles being unacceptable and make that clear from the top. I mean, rugby is a game which is supposed to develop leadership, right? And it has a proud tradition of doing so. But I do sense that World Rugby is not being led as positively as it might be. And I felt that for some years, frankly. And the confusion over this business of the high tackle that we've had lately, I think is a good symptom. It's a symptom of this, really. And just one major statement from the top would probably do a great deal of good. After all, high tackles should not be acceptable. They're just not safe, and we need a safe game. We need a game that everybody can enjoy and which is safe, basically. Well, that's my little speech about that. But also, since this is such a momentous day, I think I'd just like to say one thing about Sir Bill Beaumont. I remember his playing days. I am that old. And I remember a Gloucestershire-Lancashire counties final, I think it was, at Kingsholm. And I remember watching him coming into the ground with the Lancashire team. And yeah, fine figure of a man he was. And actually also in that team, since we're talking history, was a man called Mike Slemen, who's unfortunately died fairly recently. But he was a colleague at Merchant Taylors' School in Crosby for a very short time. I was only there for about 2 terms, but I do remember him. And he was a great England wing, fantastic player. in a really good team, a Grand Slam team, led by Bill Beaumont. So the leadership, Bill Beaumont has got the leadership, and I would like to see more of it at the top of World Rugby while he's still in the post as chairman. Of course, that may all change fairly soon. But I think the high tackle problem warrants a fairly urgent intervention. Okay, and now let's turn just briefly to the World Cup itself. And I've got here, this is one of my treasures, a Gilbert bull decorated with Springbok colours. There you are. They were the world champions in 2019 and deserved ones. And here, if I can just, let's see, I can't really, can you see that? I hope so. These are all the results leading up to the final. So let me just read them. Pool B, they lost to New Zealand 13-23. They beat Namibia 57-3. They beat Italy 49-3 and Canada 66-7. So apart from New Zealand, they had a very successful Pool B. Then in the quarterfinals, I'm sure many of us in Japan remember, South Africa 26, Japan 3. And the semi-finals, very close game, South Africa 19, Wales 16. I have a particular reason for remembering that because Kitakyushu, the city where I live, was hosting Wales for certainly the pool games. And there's a special relationship, which I hope still is in operation between the Welsh Rugby Union and Kitakyushu City. And so we were all, although I naturally support Scotland, I obviously had an eye out for the Welsh as well. And they came so close. It was almost, well, heartbreaking is the word, isn't it? When it's as close as that. And then the World Cup final, England defeated 32-12, well beaten, in fact. So are we going to see the South Africans keep their crown this year? I don't know. I hope that whoever wins the World Cup final obviously is the deserved winner. And I think that's all I have to say for today. So thank you very much for listening and see you again soon. Bye.